appreciate Mr. Thomas. As a matter of fact, we appreciate everybody, especially our listeners. And we also appreciate Southwest Georgia Project for this opportunity, for this medium, because it is so important. Whether you call in or not, at least we know that you're listening. And if you're listening, then we have an opportunity to think about some things, and let's do some things different. We're going to get some closing comments. Ms. Wilburn is back because I felt her passion this morning, and I can see that in her heart she really wants what's right, and that's what matters. So now we have to direct that energy properly in the right place. Go ahead, Ms. Wilburn.
Well, I go back to some of what Mr. Thomas was saying. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. But at the same time, you talk about the elderly and how they're out of step. The word also say there's absolutely nothing new under the sun. And I watch young people. I've raised about 6 boys, and I'm in touch with them every day. I've got grandchildren some of them are now in their 20s. And I'm in touch with them every day. So I watch what they do. I watch what they say. And I do see young people stepping out and not going along with destructive programs, but really trying to do something to uplift their community. And there's not anything I see coming out of young people right now that tells me that they know any more than what some elderly people know, who are still in tune and watching what our world does. You got to be able to see what's going on in your government, and be able to have some thought about it, to be able to discern how it affects your community, how it affects you personally, and then have a strategy on how to deal with it effectively. We've been in the streets marching, we've done sit-ins, we've been beaten and over the heads and tossed in jail. Some of that's going on right now. They're doing nothing new. Economic boycotts. We've done that to some degree. We had Black Friday. But now we found that was our most effective way of dealing with economic injustice, of dealing with some of the racism and the power plays that the rich play on us.
Do you believe that? I know. Go ahead, Rick. So we have to. Yeah.
Right. So my question is, how do we bridge the big disconnect between the older generation and the new generation so we can get on the same page?
That's a perceived disconnect. I don't feel like I'm disconnected. And I feel like there's a lot of women and men in my age group that feel the pain and the energy coming from these young people all the time. I think that's just something like to throw out there because they figure, well, if you're old, you got to be doing something.
So you're saying that's another trick of the enemy?
That's a trick. People, if you look at those people marching out there, they're young and they're old. If you look at Black Lives Matters marches, if you look in Ferguson, black, white, young, old, there's not a disconnect between people who decide to stand up against.
Well, I just think personally, we can all take our points, but you have to really call a spade a spade. When the book says that the hearts of the fathers must turn to the children, and it's not a disagreeable thing, but we have to point out them things because sometimes we have some of the knowledge, but not all of the knowledge. See, that's why we need everybody. Everybody must play a part because one person don't have the panacea. See, when you bring in the young people, then you'll open yourself up to another area. I'm not saying that old people don't have knowledge, but you have to have these young people at the table, whether they may look radical, whether they may look like they don't know what they're talking about. You have to hear them because usually the answer may come from a child. One of the greatest questions I ever entertained in my life came from a 5-year-old. And that's serious.
So do you think that the more, I'm going to say the more experienced generation, the older generation, do you think they bring the youth to the table?
Like I said, I don't really think it has anything to do with the generational, the age differences. It's just a matter of who's awake and who's asleep. You got a lot of young people asleep. You got a lot of old people asleep. And you got some who electively went to sleep because it jeopardizes their position in their communities. It jeopardizes their jobs. I want to go to sleep. I just don't want to be a part of that.
Plus, I agree with your statement. You just said about sleep. I think there's a lot of people out there that is not awake or refuse to even be part of it because, yeah, like you said, people are scared because the other jobs that you're working for are some of them don't want you to put out that message, and if you do try to put that message out, they try to say, well, if you do this, you might get fired. So when you have that, and you know it's hard to make money these days,
So it's more scared of the repercussion, not scared.
Just scared of the repercussions.
Okay, now we got it.
Like I'm saying, like, because you know, times right now it's hard because you got to pay for health care, you got to pay for your bills, your insurance, everything. But sometimes you just got to just go ahead and just go. You can't just be scared all the time. You can't.
So therefore, when I opened the mic from the beginning of the show, I made a statement about fear and the young people being fearless. Fear is the number one.
The only thing to fear is fear itself.
That's right.
That's,
And of course, fear God.
fear God. Yeah,
Gotta fear God.
Gotta fear God. Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, fear God.
Hold up. We're gonna be afraid. That's what I'm gonna be afraid of.
Well, like I said,
Great conversation.
But like I said, I do agree with you 100%. Everybody's not awake.
That's right. That's
Like
right.
when I was a kid, before I was exposed to everything, I was. I see you guys, my dad. When my dad tried to tell me something, I would put my head down and go to sleep or change the subject. Some people don't. Some people are sometimes they listen, but they're not really listening.
You
Really,
said people want to know, people don't want to know.
there you go. People want to know. Some people don't want to know.
We want to thank everybody for listening. This has been a great show. Oh man, we got down deep, and that's what it's all about. We have to get down, and at the end of the day, walk away in love, walk away in peace, and walk away in harmony, because that's what it's gonna take. See, and that's what I'd like to invite. I'd like to invite that kind of conversation. The number to call is 434-1010. You don't have to always agree. You can disagree, but at the end of the day, if we can walk away in love, peace, and solidarity and agree to disagree sometimes, then it's better for us and we can move forward, because it gives me something to look at and it gives you something to look at as well.
That's right.
This is Gary for 88.3, the best in community, the old school classic.
And Chris, the show that keeps you in the know
And
while
I'm
you're
serious.
on the go.
And we serious. We serious about this thing. Y'all be good.